On his inauguration on May 29th, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared that subsidy is gone. This declaration has snowballed into a plethora of issues, spurring up conversations and expectations of the new normal in Nigeria post-subsidy era. While it seems like the backlash from that declaration is gradually subsiding as Nigerians come to terms with the realities, President Tinubu has gone ahead to sign two other bills into law. The new Electricity Act, which now allows for state and private individuals and groups to generate as well as distribute electricity to Nigerians, and also quite recently, the Students' Loan Act. The Nigerian government's signing of the Students' Loan Bill into law has also sparked controversy as it paves the way for the introduction of tuition fees in federal universities and tertiary institutions. The move, which ends the long-standing practice of tuition-free education in government-owned schools, has raised concerns about the accessibility of higher education for financially disadvantaged students. Critics argue that the bill's emphasis on interest-free loans may not adequately address the broader expenses associated with pursuing degrees and other qualifications in higher institutions of learning. However, the Federal Ministry of Education is expected to provide further clarification on the matter as the future of tuition fees and the affordability of education remains uncertain. On the program this evening, we'll be discussing a variety of issues in the polity as well as President Tinubu's few days in office. And we are joined by Dr. Sanusi Mohammed Ohere, is the immediate past executive director at the Rural Electrification Fund. He had resigned his position to join the race for the Kogi governorship election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. He will tell us more about that adventure. Welcome to the program, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Malam Hassan.
Yeah.
Hamza.
We're taking a short break, and when we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. And certainly on this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. And I'm your host, Hamza Idris. Yes, Doctor, prior to your appointment as Executive Director of Rural Electrification Fund, you worked with the German International Cooperation as a national advisor on rural electrification under the Nigerian Energy Support Program, which is co-funded by the European Union and German government, right?
Yes.
You know a lot about power, why we are yet to get it right, yes, where we got it right, and all that. But I think we have to start with Tinubu's few days in office. Maybe first with the subsidy. How did you receive it? Was it a normal thing, or you expected the president to tarry a while, as many other presidents did in the past?
Well, thank you very much, Hamza. Thank you for having me, and good evening, audience. But let me start by really commending your TV station. This is my first time here.
Wow.
And I'm really impressed with the progress that has been made.
Thank you.
Now, going back to the question, what has really been lacking in leadership in Nigeria is that political will. If it's something that's, recurring, wherever you go, you do research, all through from primary, secondary school, university, everything, they will ask you, part of the challenges, of leadership and development in Nigeria, you would hear that political will, lack of political will. So it takes a leader that has guts, that has that courage, and that has that political will to come in and really transform, in the true sense of it, transform the country. Whether President Tinubu does it today, or whether, the day he did it, he does it that day, or he does it in the next 10 years, the reactions would always be the same. And the problem...
It will not change.
It will not change. So we all know, even the layman on the street knows that, this subsidy, it's not the way, our founders, it's not auguring for us the way, they envisaged it anymore.
Yeah.
And, it has to go. Because as you know, petroleum products, PMS, diesel, gas. These are commodities, and these are internationally priced commodities, that we use. So why would government continue to subsidize a particular, product out of, all of the, products we can get from petroleum?
Meaning
from crude oil.
There are other areas that subsidy can go to.
Exactly.
But you are widely traveled,
Yes.
doctor, and you studied abroad and all that. Is subsidy a wrong thing?
Well, if it's applied correctly, in the right manner, and it's not necessarily a wrong thing. But in Nigeria, we've always had subsidy for petroleum, and it has now
I
become
read somewhere they say since 1977 or thereabout.
exactly. So it has now become a burden on the economy, because the money that we're using to service this subsidy, we could have used to do so many other things that is pulling us back in terms of infrastructure, in terms of development. Subsidies has now run into trillions. If you remember, maybe during the time of President Obasanjo, our entire budget didn't used to even be more than maybe 1 or 2 trillion.
Exactly.
But now subsidy alone, that component is guzzling that amount. So, and we have other areas like infrastructure in terms of roads, rails, power, education, health that is lacking in terms of what comes to them, from the budget. So it's just a matter of time, and any economist that you discuss with, any paper that you read, article that you read, as regards how we can move forward, one of the major fiscal instruments they would mention is that, well, subsidy has to go. You need to free up more resources so that the president can look at other areas that these resources would be even more critical. But then, be that as it may, the president has taken the bull by the horn, and he has removed subsidy. And by the way, it's not him removing it, by the way. It's a policy thing. It's a law thing. When the PIA was passed, the Petroleum Industry Act, last year, they envisaged that subsidy had to go. But because, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari needed to still manage the situation in the interim, they made provision in the budget. And the budget is law. That subsidy,
which ought to lapse this month, right?
June. So the president is basically following, the law.
But some people are saying this is just an escapist approach, because during his Democracy Day speech, I think the second paragraph, he said that the decision taken by the previous administration. Don't you think that he should just take the whole burden and say
it's the same party? It doesn't really matter if he says, I am the one doing it, or I'm just saying government is a continuum, right? And it's the same party. In fact, all of the other parties that campaigned, campaigned on the strength of removing subsidy, because everybody knows that it is no longer, auguring well, in terms of what we wanted it to be. So that's not even an issue whether he removed it or the previous government removed it. The matter is that it has been removed. What next? What should we do? What are the palliatives that should come in place?
What magic wand, in your estimation, he used to douse tension? Because, the other day, most of us who also work in the newspaper remain in the newsroom till the dead of the night, waiting for the outcome of a meeting between the Labour and the president's representatives. But at the end of the day, they shelved the whole strike, the anticipated strike. Hundreds of, dozens of unions and all that, various groups, they were just waiting for first thing in the morning to go to the streets in protest. But here we are now. Nobody's been talking about protests, and everything normal, as we said in the introductory part of our program.
This is where leadership comes in. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an experienced politician. He's a leader. He has led, the state of Lagos for 8 years, and he has transformed that state. And I can tell you that Lagos would probably be a miniature Nigeria because of, everybody's in Lagos and everybody's doing business in Lagos. So if he could succeed in managing Lagos for that long, and he's still, at the helms of, providing guidance and leadership there until he became president of Nigeria, then you shouldn't really be surprised that he's able to douse the tension, because...
And nobody is talking about it. You are not talking about it. I'm not talking about it. And I don't think even the Labour, they are contemplating bringing it.
When you are able to communicate as a leader, and then you bring people on board, you synergize, you know, bring stakeholders. That's what really leadership is all about. How can you manage various interests? How can you manage various stakeholders? In this case, Labour. Immediately he did that, he invited them to a round table. They had a discussion. And of course, they have to give him the benefit of the doubt because he is just coming in. Yes. Yeah. And he has said, we will do this together. So Labour, they are Nigerians, they know what the problems are, but they also have a point from where they are coming from in terms of what should happen to you know, our members, right? Salary increase, all of those things, which is what the government has discussed with them and then said, okay, we are going to put in some measures in place as palliative, you know, going forward. So I'm thinking that they are giving him that benefit of doubt to continue discussing, and they are watching his very steps. And if being the person that we know him as, the leader that doesn't go back on his words, if he says we are going to do this, you can take that to the bank. We believe that whatever he has promised to do, and he has, you know, shared with Labour in terms of his vision going forward, and they have bought into, be rest assured that he will definitely do it.
But it appears Nigerians have given up. Whoever you meet on the road, you see that pain and that aura of hopelessness that, okay, let it go on. Have you noticed something like that? That Nigerians are really...
I will not call it hopelessness, to be honest, because our government, the APC government, and the mantra of our campaign for Asiwaju is renewed hope.
Okay.
So the idea is to come and, you know, renew the hope, because hope is free, to be honest. And as a party and as a government, if you cannot continue to, you know, provide that hope, you know, for people, then you have no business.
You have to regenerate it.
Yes. So Asiwaju coming in, taking some of these immediate steps, you know, based on, he has shown capacity, he has shown that political will. So it has, if people are watching, they are hopeful that some of these steps are the right steps going forward. And they're willing to give him that chance. You know, he has asked us, you know, to make further sacrifice. I know we've been sacrificing.
You are a youth.
Yes.
Millions of youths in Nigeria are disgruntled. They are tired. Are you now telling them that they should trust that slogan?
That's what we've been telling them all along during the campaigns. You know, we understand why we should be disgruntled, but some of us are on this side because we believe that there is hope and there's light.
Maybe you are among the few lucky ones. Anyway, I will ask you that question later. Now let's move to students' loan before we go to your area of specialty and then later politics. How did you receive the student loan thing? We did a story exclusive in the Daily Trust that this means removal of tuition fees. I mean, free tuition fees in universities. Are we correct?
Well, that's what it means, because if you have access to loans that has been provided by government, then I think there has to be complementary measures as well. If you ask me, I don't know what the entire program is, but yes, the student loan is just one component of it as an option. You know, if you notice, most of these young people these days, when it's time to go to school, maybe their parents cannot afford. You know, they start calling politicians, please.
Even though they say it is free, you just pay maybe student unionism, accommodation, course registration.
And that's still some money, right? So this gives them an avenue to go, you know, get some money, pay their tuition without necessarily having to go through all of these, you know, issues, looking for people to help them. That's one. But in my own estimation, we should still have some sort of fund that will provide scholarship to very, you know, brilliant students to encourage them.
The indigent
students and extremely poor. That, you know, even if they take this loan, they are not sure what's going to happen. I mean, there should be that complement between the student loan and having a fund, you know, to take care of this category of people. I mean, this is how it works even in the United States. We have the student loan, but we also have scholarships in every university, whereby if you are extremely good, you know, and brilliant, and if you maintain, a certain grade point average, then you have the opportunity to get free scholarship.
Yeah, I read somewhere Obama saying, you know, he was president then, saying it wasn't up to, you know, 12 years or thereabout, that he upsetted the student loan, he obtained. You know, I was really shocked when I read that. I said, okay, is it that Nigeria is just copying and pasting some of these things? Or we really carefully plan it And this morning, somebody sent document to me also, which I shared with colleagues, that this student loan was there. You know, there was office of student loan in the Ministry of Education. So you can see how we sometimes duplicate issues. I don't know, maybe we have to keep reminding them that, look, this is the way to go, and these are some of the rudiments that we need to add to the loan, as you rightly said.
Yeah. So as you know, education is very expensive in America, especially tertiary education. Okay. I mean, you're paying tens of, thousands of dollars, just to get the same course or, obtain the same degree that a Nigerian would obtain. So for instance, if you want to obtain a degree, a master's degree, you're spending upwards of maybe between 15 to 20,000 dollars or pounds if it's in the UK. But while if it's in Nigeria, your entire school fees for 4 years and everything you spend, you'll probably not spend more than $2,000 or $3,000, right? So we can't compare the level of fees or tuition between Nigeria and because everybody knows that education is hugely, especially tertiary education, hugely subsidized in Nigeria. So I feel it's a measure that would help. It's something new. Let's see how it unfolds. But it's an opportunity for students to have access to funding for their education. There are people that truly want to go to university, or because of funding it has been a problem. But if they are hardworking and they've set a goal for themselves and they know that they can go to school, stay in school, work hard, and leave and get a job or start a business, and they know they can pay back, then it's an option for them. But we should not also close other options for scholarship for very brilliant and indigent students, and maybe the poorest of the poor that you may have. There should still be room for that. And I know that we have various parastatals and programs that are currently on for that, scholarship, like I mentioned. I know that under Ministry of Education, they have the scholarship board. Various states have scholarship boards. We have the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, and all of those, parastatals that are also doing, something similar. So this is to complement what is already existing.
Oh, great. Now let me go to your area straight. You are among the young but talented individuals that were drafted to key agencies during the Buhari administration. You are taken to the Rural Electrification Fund. Were you surprised when you were drafted there, or it was the normal thing because you have the experience around it?
I wasn't surprised. I had prepared myself. As you know, my PhD is in rural energy development.
Rural energy development.
Yes. So I had gone to university. Before then, I had seen what the issues were in terms of the gaps of lack of electricity access in the country. I had dimensioned the entire power sector, and I saw that a lot was being done on the on-grid side, talking about generation, distribution, and transmission, but nothing much was done on the rural side. So I took it upon myself as part of my own way of helping to solve the problem, to go and do my research. I had my master's in energy finance. By the way, I'm an economist.
Wow.
My master's in energy finance, and then my PhD in rural energy development. So I did the first of its kind type of research that looked at the entire country in terms of what sort of technologies, what areas do not have access. It was a geospatial, research. What areas don't have electricity? Well, how can we provide electricity? What technology should we use? Should we extend the grid, or should we use, solar mini grids and all of those? How much will it cost? And what are the policy measures that will allow us obtain? It was a huge research for the entire country, and for each state, I did the analysis.
For each state?
For each state.
That's 6 states?
Yes, at that time.
It took you how many years?
Funny enough, I did my PhD within 2 years.
What? Where?
In the UK.
In UK?
Yes.
In 2 years?
In 2 years, I had finished everything.
Now, what did you discover? How many rural communities have light, or rather do not have light? Maybe the percentage.
At the time, we only had about 54% of the country that was connected to the grid. So we're looking at about 46%. But out of this 46%, we divided them into clusters. So we had maybe 30,000 clusters that needed to be connected via the grid. So it is closer to the grid. You just needed to extend, distribution lines to them, and they will be connected. But as if I say the grid, now I'm talking of the distribution part, not the entire. So the distribution grid, is now in the hands of private individuals. So that's an investment decision for them to make. But then when you have the data, you can present to them and say, hey, if you connect to this place, you have new customers, you can meter them and make more money or something like that. But for those areas that were far away from the grid, we had a couple of thousands, as well, of clusters. So that was the area we recommended for the Rural Electrification Agency, to focus on so that they can provide electricity. But then funding was always going to be an issue. That was why I was drafted, because in my research, I had, recommended that there should be a rural education fund that should be funded in so and so way. And so I was brought in. And before then, I was...
You are the first
yes, executive director of the Rural
And that was one of the questions I put, that Rural Electrification Fund, Rural Electrification Agency.
So the fund is under the agency.
Okay.
The Rural Education Fund is under the agency. The fund is that arm that would focus on attracting funds, and the agency is the overall agency that focuses on implementation.
Okay, so how did you navigate your way when you were drafted?
As you know, as a young person in government, and that's one thing that is lacking, and that's something I feel I would be able to also contribute. When I came on board, we didn't really have that sort of mentorship to say, in government it's a bit different, because if you're coming from the private sector, if you're coming from international development background, you want things to move as quickly as possible, right? You're looking at things in terms of numbers.
You don't want that bureaucracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to adjust to learn that this bureaucracy, they are there for a reason. There's always a need for checks and balances.
No shortcut.
No shortcut. So you need to go through the ropes, and if you're able to manage, people, manage stakeholders, synergize, and align in terms of where we need to go to, then it becomes easy. And it takes a little getting used to. If you do it the first time, the second time, it becomes a norm. And you can still achieve what you need to achieve and carry everyone that you need to carry along in terms of making them buy into that vision and why these objectives of government must. For instance, when we came, it was difficult for some of the people we met at the agency to move away from just extending the grid.
Wow.
Buying transformer and all of that, to more of solar mini grids, renewable energy sort of technology. But after we did a few pilots, we showed them, we took them there, they saw that this was
really that it was doable.
Now they're advocates of it. So these things, like when you're talking about removal of subsidy and how Nigerians, why didn't they react in a certain way? The truth is Nigerians are not very difficult people. If you have sincerity of purpose and you show them that this is the way to go, and then you stick to the program and the promises, nobody you will not have fight with anybody. In REA then, people were saying, why would we partner with private sector, put projects in rural communities and ask rural people to pay?
Yeah.
They said rural people will not pay. But we had already done a willingness and ability to pay research, and we knew that these people said, if this power is there, instead of them to be using generators, which are more expensive for them, and they are not available 24/7, and they are not renewable, they would rather go for renewable. So, but when we did our pilot projects and people saw that this was working, we were able to attract more funding from World Bank and African Development Bank. We were able to attract more funding from even the banks, the commercial banks in
Nigeria.
Yes, they were partnering with our, developers, because the partnership will bring part of the grants just to incentivize them, and they brought their own funding. So when the banks saw the numbers, that there were returns from these people, mind you, these rural people that they said were not paying customers, they ended up being more credit-worthy than even those of us in the cities.
Wow. The people in the rural communities?
Yes, they pay. 98% of the time they pay, from a study that we conducted.
From these stories we'll be writing over, yes, I know that there was component for certain category of Nigerians that government will be giving them the electricity free. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's within rural...
Yes, within the grid.
Yes.
Within the grid, there are different bands.
Yes.
R1, R2, R3,
exactly.
R4. So that's within the grid. But off-grid, we have a mini-grid regulation that regulates off-grid.
Okay.
So, but for off-grid, if people are putting in investments, you need to... and
there must be a return on investment.
Exactly. You allow for, a cost-reflective tariff. Then, there must be some returns. But what we do is to provide some grants to cushion the effect of the tariff.
Yeah.
So that's what we were able
Is there any connection between what you did before you left REA and the new Electricity Act?
Yeah, we worked on the Electricity Act from the angle of the Rural Electrification Agency, because there were certain things that after running, the previous act, the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, for maybe since 2005. It
Yes.
has been there. So that's 18 years now. We had studied some gaps, and then we needed to, ask for, some remedy. So from the angle of Rural Education Agency, especially from the funding angle for Rural Education Fund, we made some proposals, to the National Assembly, which they had adopted some in terms of strengthening, the sources of fund for the Rural Education Fund, so that we can continue to do the good works that we're doing. Because most of the monies that we attracted while I was there was from, the...
Yeah, you rightly said
from
it.
the World Bank, African Development Bank, and all of that.
This must be based on your connection with them.
Yes, because I had worked, with them before, but it was a team effort, really.
Okay, there are other people.
Yeah. So, but if you look at other funds that are specially set up, for instance, like the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, the Tertiary TED Fund, for tertiary institutions.
Yeah.
Maybe this other fund, NSITF,
Yes.
Social Insurance Trust Fund. They usually set aside a certain percentage
Yes.
from somewhere that should go there.
Yes.
So unfortunately for us in the power sector, because what was supposed to go to the fund, because the power sector had not really stabilized, and
Yes.
they were still struggling with getting revenue, and there was still subsidy in tariff and all of that. We were not getting anything.
You couldn't get it.
We couldn't get much. The little we're getting from NERC, because part
National
of the
Electricity
Regulatory Commission, because they said that yearly surplus after auditing the account should come to us. That was the little that we were managing in the fund. But we were lucky we were able to attract funding from World Bank, African Development Bank. Even CBN gave some loans.
Did it make the desired impact as you expected?
Of course. But because the scale of the problem is huge, right? It's something that we'll continue to do for maybe the next 5 to 10 years to really see major impacts. But this funding allows us to design programs and implement, while we are seeking more to do the rest. But I'm happy that at least while we were there, we were able to demonstrate that the model of partnership between government and private sector to do projects in rural community was viable. So that really opened up the space and gave confidence for people to come in and start bringing in their money, either as equity or getting debt from banks, or bringing in international donor funding into the space.
Yeah, and the act that I mentioned earlier, it gives room for private individuals, for states, and maybe other cooperatives, let me use this word, to now invest. Yeah. Do you think this will be a game changer to this dreaded problem in the power sector?
Of course. I mean, if you open up any space for more people to come in, of course, it's always a game changer. So as opposed to just, initially even the discourse when we just unbundled, when we're doing privatization and all of that, there was this, tendency to have, this territorial sort of claim.
Tendencies.
Yes, to say, because I'm Kaduna Electricity Disco, and my states are Sokoto, Kaduna, Katsina. Anybody that wants to come there for electricity business
has to come through me.
It shouldn't be like that. So what they sold, to them was the assets. Oh. The assets that were existing.
Not the right of exclusivity.
Not the right of exclusivity.
Okay.
So we had to go to court in some instances. REA, then when we're doing some projects and they're challenging us, for the court to make it clear that no, this is not. But this act even further strengthens this claim, that yes, you are there, but you are not exclusive. Other people that want to come and invest, you cannot frustrate them, right? But I think we've gotten to that stage where the discos also understand this, that this is how it should be. And if anybody is coming in, either as state government or private or, like you said, cooperative or whoever, or REA, there's always that we encourage them to partner with
instead of be rivals.
Exactly. It's not exactly. So we're able to do it successfully, partnering with them, brought them on board, even through the Nigerian Governors Forum and all the discourse roundtable, and we succeeded. So states can continue, to model what we had done at the area.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll take a short break, and viewers, remain with us. We'll be back shortly. All Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Still have in the studio Sanusi Mohamed Ohere, former Executive Director at Rural Electrification Fund. Now the big question, you started doing well based on the assessment and all that. Suddenly you resign and went to vie for Kogi governorship. What informed that decision?
Well, my people in Kogi were clamoring for, the kind of leadership that they felt I could provide. Mind you, while I was doing my job at REA, I'm a party man. Of course, we made impact all over the country, but, we also made a lot of impact in my state, in Kogi. And they saw that, the kind of leadership that we're providing
at
that
your last
level,
port of call, yeah.
Yes, we could come into the state and complement what the governor had also done, and even maybe take it a notch higher. If you look at, for instance, what Asiwaju has done since he came within the last,
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes.
You know that this is a man that is ready.
He prepared for it.
He had left office since 2007, I think. So that's maybe 16 years now.
Yeah. Wow.
And he was using his time doing research, getting people together, to study different sectors, just to understand what the problems is. So he already knew what he wanted to do. So coming in, student loan is there, he signs. Electricity, this is what he wants, he signs. All of those things is just...
Yeah, the subsidy.
Exactly. Subsidy had to go, So that was the kind of thing we were looking at, because we were ready, Before I went to REA, I was also very ready. So when we got there, we were able to quickly attract funding, bring in the people together, partner and get all of the policies and regulations approved. And then that's why you see everybody is now mentioning REA. Before then, nobody really knew that REA was there. So the plan was to go there. I mean, leadership is really the same, whether you're in REA, whether in Kogi, or whether in Nigeria. If you understand how to work with people, manage stakeholders, and manage various interests, and try and align everybody towards the major goal and the objective, then chances are that you really succeed in what you're doing. So from the experience that we had, working at that level, I felt it was time for us to also go to Kogi. Another young man, my governor, is there. He has done well. He has done his best. I felt we could build on it and then take the state to the next, because Kogi is a very blessed state. But it didn't happen.
Yes, I will ask that, but maybe a moment. The trajectory.
Yes.
Before heading the Rural Electrification Fund, as I said earlier, you were the national advisor, right, on rural electrification under the Nigeria Energy Support Program. This is huge.
Yes. Which
is provided by the European Union and German government. Someone will say, someone like you should even be there for maybe 10 years or 20 years or 30. You understand? Before to start to think of, moving to another area. But within a short span, you are less than 40.
Yes.
Don't you think you are running really faster than how you should?
No, but I'm not somebody that believes that you need to stay in one particular place for that long before you make your impact. For instance, I was with the GIZ for just 3 years before I moved to government, and after doing my first 5 years, the tenure that is stipulated, for REA as an executive director, President Muhammadu Buhari renewed my tenure.
Yeah, he did.
And I did just 1 year. 2022
or thereabouts.
So I did just 1 year out of the second tenure, and then I resigned. But to be honest, I felt like REA was already on a good, footing. We had come in, we had done all the dirty work that we needed to do. We had
to correct the dirty things there.
Correct the dirty things that were there. And the REA was already, on a trajectory. So I didn't really need to be there anymore because I've done my part. The Rural Electrification Fund was only on paper. I was the first executive director. When I came within 6 months, I got all of the approvals for the operational guidelines.
You got a lot of resources.
And then we got a lot of resources. So now the agency can now continue to implement.
You are not bothered about the resources there to manage them yourself?
No. Leadership is a continuum. You don't need to say, because my job was to try and bring the resources. I wasn't even the one implementing the projects. I just look for the money, and then the agency has other departments, the technical department and all of that, and then they implement.
Is politics in the family started with you, or you actually inherited?
Politics has always been in my family, from my great-grandfather to my grandfather.
Okay, take us through. Maybe your grandfather, was he a senator, a governor, minister?
So my great-grandfather was, part of the king's, courts, back then, before, in the colonial era, so they were the ones, providing direction and leadership, for my people. Then my grandfather contested. I think he was a councillor or something like that.
Okay, in those years.
Yes. Then my father was a senator.
Oh.
Yes. So 2-time.
From
senator.
Kogi.
From Kogi. Yes.
From Kogi West.
No, Central.
Kogi Central.
Yes.
From the same senatorial zone with Yahya Bello.
Yes, my governor.
Okay. Did he give you the nod to go and vie for the governorship?
Of course. I mean,
So what happened? Because at the end of the day, we saw 11 contestants. What happened?
We're all his,
proteges.
Proteges. We are all part of the party. Everybody had the right to vie, and because of how he emerged in life, he would never tell you don't vie, because it's Allah that gives power.
Oh.
So of course he would encourage you, go ahead, and of course it's an experience. So as a leader, he's not going to say, "Oh no, I'm going to give this." So
were you the one who approached him, or vice versa? He approached you to say, "Look, Mohammed, you have a pedigree. Go for this."
No. Of course, he had always encouraged me and commended me in all of the things I had been doing at the Royal Education Agency, and he has been proud. I'm making the state proud and all of that. He's like an elder brother.
Okay.
So we've had that relationship. But when it was time for him to, when the time for the primaries was approaching, we had a conversation. I told him, well, what are your plans? Because I think I can also, complement some of the things that you're doing, and actually, continue to make you proud. So he said, okay, why not? It's something that he feels like.
He told you this?
Yeah, so he said I should go ahead, and he encouraged me. So at every step, I would, inform him, like I'd always done.
Yeah.
Not even before I decided to go for governorship. Like I said, he's like an elder brother, so I would always tell him, oh, this is what we are doing, how can we help, and all of that. So at that time, I also did that. But as a leader, he's never going to tell you
not
that's
to go
the style.
for that.
Yeah, because
but where you stopped, when you saw number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, his chief of staff, commissioners, up to number 11, when you saw that the difficult ballooing, where you stopped?
But like I said, it's Allah that gives power.
Yes, Allah gives power.
So you don't need to be bothered about human beings.
But where you stopped when you realized?
No. I'm not disturbed.
Do you have any regrets that you left a juicy job to go for the governorship?
I don't know what you mean by juicy.
REA is juicy. I wish I have that.
While I was at REA,
yes,
I had a task and I delivered my task. Alhamdulillah.
You are not carried away by the resources.
I didn't leave any stone unturned in terms of what I needed to deliver. So I felt like my time, whether I was going to go for governor or not, to be honest, I felt like, what am I still doing? You came here. This was not available, you've done it, you have put REA on the map with your colleagues.
Yeah, which is a big credit.
Alhamdulillah.
Now, on the eve of the election, we were all in the newsroom when we started hearing statements from the aspirants. This is why I will say, okay, to respect the choice of our leader, I have withdrawn. You, at what point did you say, okay, you will withdraw from the contest, when you realized that this is where the governor
I didn't go into the contest to withdraw, and I made it very clear to everyone. I'm in the contest because I have what it takes to serve. I know that, and my people wanted me to come in and serve, and they were there to support me. But it didn't happen, and we have a new candidate now who is also my brother and my friend, and we are all, as a team player, we are all coalescing around him to make sure that our party
But ultimately, some withdrew, but rebelliously, like Murtala Ajaka, who has picked the ticket of SDP. Why you didn't move to another political party?
This is a party that, my dad and others struggled to build.
Okay.
I remember when the party just came in 2014, when we were doing registration, my dad was number 1 in our ward. I registered as number 2. When we brought the party to Kogi, we were begging people. In fact, we had to even give some people money to register. And then our leader, late Prince Abubakar, also played a key role, and he died. And it's a party that we've built up.
He ought to have been the one, maybe, anyway, he must have rounded up maybe by 2019, since he had the first tenure. Yeah.
And our governor, being a young person, has done a lot. You know, he came and strengthened the party and helped to, you know, take it further to the next level. And this is a party that's given me opportunity to serve at the national level. And if I didn't serve at the national level, maybe some of the impact that I made, yes, I'll still have been making impact wherever I am, because that's my nature. But maybe not at the scale.
So no ill feeling as far as your relationship with Yahya Bello is concerned?
No. He's my big brother.
And you met with him after the primaries?
Of course.
But before you people withdrew and all that, or went your ways, has he made any promise to you?
I don't know about, you know, other people, but he's a leader that is always there for all of us. Whatever you need, however he can help, of course he will do that. But like I said, it's a party affair. We have a candidate now, and we are all coalescing around the candidate. My brother Murtala Ajaka,
yes.
He's a brother, and he felt he needed to move to another party.
And he felt betrayed of sorts. Well, because when you had confidence in Yahya Bello, he too had that confidence?
Well, you know, people react to things differently. If you didn't get something, you know, the way you would react may be different from how I react. I went into this, of course, knowing that it's a job that I can do. And I prayed to my God that it should make it happen. And I consulted all the people I needed, because I went around the state, 21. I was the only one that even went around. I'm not sure Murtala even went around. You know, I went around, met with everybody, and they were happy with, you know, some of the policies and the vision that we have for the state. But then it didn't happen. So why should we be blaming human beings? If God wanted it to happen, it would happen. 1 billion human beings cannot stop it from happening. So if it happens, it's because God wants it to happen. If it doesn't happen, God does not want it to happen. So don't have any ill feeling towards human beings. But like I said, people react to things differently. And I'm a party man. I'm a team player.
You have given your best.
I will continue to give my best.
Now, where are you heading to, since it didn't work out the way you wanted it in Kogi? Are you going back to private practice, or you remain
I'm a lecturer now. I've gone back to lecturing.
Where?
I'm doing part-time lecturing in Federal University, Lokoja. Incidentally, this is an aspect of my life that I also always wanted to continue, because it's my father's dream for me to continue my academic work and maybe become a professor sometime. And this is a job that I've gotten since 2019 to be a part-time lecturer, of course, pro bono, free of charge, to give my experiences, share my knowledge, share my experiences, and see how we can improve that university. It's a new university that we're just trying to, build. So I've just resumed. I've not had much time because of COVID and then office and all that. But now I want to give it, my best
to that institution. But we had it from the grapevine. I don't know whether you had it. Edward Onoja, Mona Audu, Smart Hademi, and your humble self nominated for ministerial position.
You have to ask the guy that put it online. I think Imran or something.
Okay.
He's a funny guy. I mean, he puts things like that out. But I'm always available to serve. But I'm not having that discussion. I've not had that discussion with anybody. But one thing I know for sure is from what we hear and know about our president, Asiwaju, is that he loves to work with young people. Yes, and not just young people, because sometimes when you're asking for something, you have to qualify it.
Yes.
Competent young people, people that have capacity, that have experience, that will not go there and embarrass your government. And I feel like if you're going to call, the top young people that have these qualities in this country, alhamdulillah, because of the opportunities I've had to serve and what we did, of course, you would have to mention me. That's if he's truly looking for those sort of people. So I don't need to go around and start listening to what's going on.
Because quite a number of people whose names have been mentioned, they kept dodging. And at the end of the day, we see like the chief of staff, it was mentioned.
And from what I heard about
chief of staff protocol and all that,
From what I heard about him too, he keeps these things close to his chest. You can never really second guess him. He's a leader. He knows what he wants. Like I said, he has had time over 16 years to plan and say this. So if he's looking for young people, that have the capacity and qualification and, that have had experience and served diligently, of course, we have them in numbers.
So you also believe that the youth, they are the future of Nigeria?
Of course.
But many have disappointed government. I don't want to call names. You give them the opportunity and then they mess it up.
You see, my brother, to be honest, it's actually not easy. It's like you just take a young person and put him in the lion's den. he needs to learn to survive. He needs to learn to find his way around. That's what government is like. Some of us were just lucky because when you put somebody, in that kind of, position,
yes,
there should be some sort of mentorship to say, okay, this is to guide.
Yeah, to learn the ropes.
Because most young people, because they've not been in government for long, what they have is they have that burning desire, that passion, and they have the knowledge.
And they say opportunity comes but once.
Exactly. So if they now enter there, if they are not careful in terms of ethics and all of that, they run into trouble. But a lot of young people have served and they are still serving diligently. Maybe one or two that fell, along the line is due to this lack of mentorship. And that's something I'm also providing myself as one of those that, by the grace of God, if we have more young people in government, is an area I feel like I can give back. We have a couple of us that have served under the last government, young people, and we know what we went through. So if those people are open to it, we would want to continue to provide that kind of guidance and mentorship to say, hey guys, this is what you need to do. For me personally, I took it upon myself, to be honest, to say I'm lucky, one of the lucky ones to get appointed. I was 32 years then.
Wow.
And I looked at millions of young Nigerians that were not that lucky. And I said, I owe it to them to give my best and serve diligently.
And you don't have any regret?
Yes. So that if you want to make reference that, young people.
Yeah, just the way I ask question that many messed up, but it's wrong of me to mention
because that's what some of these older people that don't want us to serve, that's what they use. All these young people, give them opportunity, they will mess up. But I said I owed it to millions of people out there that, want or wish to serve, to do my best and, don't be found wanting in any way, so that they can also have opportunity to say, because this person did it, we can bring in more people. And alhamdulillah, we're able to achieve.
Okay, back to Kogi. What are the chances of your party, the APC?
We are going to win the election.
Are you people satisfied with the choice of the governor? I'm going back.
It's not about whether there's nobody that you choose that everybody will be satisfied with. That is politics and that is life. We must always have people that are dissenting voices. But our party is strong in Kogi. The governor has done very well to build up structures across the state. He has ensured that in terms of, democratizing opportunity, especially for young people. This is only the government that came and gave a lot of young people opportunities to serve in government. Yeah. People that were in their minds never thought they could be somewhere. He gave them opportunity.
But they said he went overboard by going home, directly home. Of course, you are from the same senatorial district, but the person he took is like he took the fortune to the extreme by picking his cousin or whatever, and this is why Ajaka and others, they have moved on and they are giving a big fight.
The truth is, Ajaka wants to be governor. He has the right to contest. He has the right to move to another party. He would use anything to justify his reason for doing it. If he had picked somebody from another local government from the same geopolitical zone, it will still be the same thing. If he had picked from Igala land, the Ibiras and the Okuns will still talk. They say Igala have done it for how many years? If he had picked from the West. Now, the West is divided into the pure Okun people, and then we have the Lokoja and Koto people. These people will say, it's supposed to have come to them because these people have done deputy governor before. So there is always going to be agitation.
Wow.
But we are moving beyond that. We have picked a candidate, a fine gentleman, Usman Ododo, and he's a brother, he's a friend, he's a gentleman. He's somebody that everybody can rally around, and whatever grievances you have, when he becomes governor, hopefully he can address some of this. What matters is, what is he bringing on the table? How is he going to deliver, us from some of the issues that are currently there? And how is he going to complement on what the governor has done? And what I keep saying anywhere we go is that, because some of us had these ideas, we had about 17 of us that contested. A lot of us are with him, those that contested. All of these ideas we would bring together, put in one basket and say, hey, this is what I wanted to do when I become...
Like you, maybe your expertise.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's the man that listens. I would say, guy, can you do this? Can you do this? We can bring a roadmap for you to achieve this. So government is not about just the governor. So all of us will now have to rally around him. If he's willing to listen, we'll give him a roadmap and, support him in any way we can. So that, because ultimately, if he succeeds, then all of the people we wanted to serve, they will be happy and the state will succeed and it will be better for all of us. So there's no need to continue to rock the boat or go and join another party. I wasn't going to leave, this party.
Right from day one,
this party,
you believe in APC.
Yes.
I left this question deliberately to be part of the rounding up of the conversation. for 60 years or 63 or whatever years, Nigeria has not gotten it right when it comes to power generation and distribution and all that. That's a young, vibrant person whose area of study is electricity. If if Tinubu were to call you and say, okay, how can we get it right? What would you tell him?
Well, you'd have to, dimension things. There are so many things that we are. It's been a process. It's been a learning experience for us. We'll try this. It didn't work. Before the 1960s, we only had a few generation companies. We moved to NEPA. NEPA didn't work because everything was a monopoly bundled, and we, unbundled, and we commercialized and all of that. We're still noticing gaps. Some of these gaps are based on political will that was not there. So, for instance, this subsidy has been an issue, but now someone that has political will, our president, has come and removed it. We had issues of cost-reflective tariff within the power sector as well, and it was gulping billions. People are consuming power; they are stealing power, and the distribution companies are not recovering enough money to pay the generation companies. And if the gencos shut down, then the entire country will be in darkness. So government had to continue paying GENCO so that
through IMBET.
Exactly.
Nigeria.
So it is still a problem. It's still a problem. Why? Because the people that have the money to come in and invest, they will not come in if they know that there is interference within the system, and they are not sure how they can get their money back. So it is important for government to do reform. No, the reforms are already there. You see, any type of regulation.
It's implementation.
Implement this tariff. What is the cost-reflective tariff in terms of based on forces of demand and supply? Allow it,
no matter how
regulate
it will jump.
Yes, and there's a regulator that has this multi-year tariff order that has building blocks in terms of what builds up to a tariff, just like they have with former PPPRA and all of that. So it is the same thing. The regulator is there to make sure that nobody's being unfair, to anybody, either the consumers being unfair to the investors or investors being unfair to consumers. So allow the market. So once that's done, in Rural Education Agency, that's what we did.
Allow the market forces to
determine in the rural communities. And they are paying. They are paying higher than even those in the city. But yet they are paying. Wow. So if you allow the same thing and people see electricity, what you now need to do is to invest in energy efficiency. So instead of leaving your electricity on for too long or using AC
switch
for
those,
you switch off, you do all of those things, or you use those, the ones that are not that energy intensive, like for the bulbs or, all of those other equipments that are efficient, energy efficient. Right. So that's what we now need to focus on, and government can invest in that as well to allow, sensitize people and allow people to know what to do going forward.
All right, thank you. Maybe in a few seconds on education, what will you advise, Azumi? What is the future of Nigeria's education?
Education is very important. I'm glad that the student loan has been passed. We need to continue to invest in infrastructure, invest in enabling environment for students to thrive, invest in the curriculum so that we are not just doing copy and paste and you just regurgitate whatever you are taught. So it is important, and I think funding is also an issue. My experience is that we can get funding for anything if you have the right people in place.
Yes, all right, thank you.
For any infrastructure.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunusi Mohammed O'Hara, energy expert, rural electrification. And you can see during the program, we discuss politics, we discuss policy, and we discuss governance, which is actually the theme of our program. Thank you for coming, and we have to have you again.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's edition. Join us tomorrow for another interesting package. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.